Oh. That clock is slow.
Yeah, I usually check my phone.
All right.
So we not live, we're just recorded tonight? Okay.
Oh, you know what? They're at the school committee.
School committee meeting.
So they're definitely televising that instead of this, rightfully so.
Yep.
So that's probably where they are, so we are just gonna do some.
Cool.
Okay.
You guys are live?
Hey.
There he is.
There he is.
There's the voice of Sky.
Thank you, Lord.
How are you?
Good and yourself?
Good, thank you. All right. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right. You good to go?
You're live?
All right, excellent, thank you. All right, welcome, Town of Groveland. This is the Planning Board meeting on Tuesday, February 25th, 2025, 7 PM at Town Hall. We have a short agenda tonight. We'll see how it goes.
Motion to open.
Thank
So
you.
motion, seconded.
Motion made and seconded to open the meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank you. Keep me in line. Tonight, we have 181R School Street, discussion and possible vote on permit for the application of Groveland redevelopment. And we have 150 Center Street Working Group, appointment of a board member, the comprehensive master plan discussion. And then we have our town planner update and any other items. So we'll start off with the 181R School Street. This is a discussion and possible vote on the permit for the application of Groveland Redevelopment LLC, care of Louis Minucci Jr., 231 Sutton Street, Suite 1B, North Andover, 01845, which received approval of a six-lot definitive subdivision plan labeled 181R School Street, Groveland, Massachusetts, and associated stormwater management and land disturbance permit at 181R School Street in Groveland, 01834. Assessors map 34, parcel 13. Okay, so in our packet, you guys received, I don't know if you got to read through any of it at all. There is a draft for some special conditions. It's lengthy. There's a lot of detail there, so I wanted to make sure. There's a couple comments from Rebecca and Andy in there as well to make sure that we're in alignment. So this is, I would say, first of probably at least two meetings to kind of walk through. Obviously, Brad's not here tonight. Jason's not here. Wally's not here, so give them some time as well to speak up and give their ideas as well.
Sure.
But were there any concerns, additions that you guys would like to see onto some of these conditions? I know that Annie and Rebecca went through previous subdivision plans and looked to things that would be beneficial to the town to have on there for coverage. And the rest is going to be up to us and what we deem fit. Annie, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, not at least at this point.
Okay. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. All right, so.
If you want, I can go over like the basic subsections we have within here, if that would be helpful for the board.
Sure.
I think that would, and
Sure.
also for anyone listening.
Yeah, so, like DJ mentioned, we did model this after prior subdivisions we've issued. Our most recent one was Katy Lane, and I did I reached out to my colleagues in other communities and asked them to send me their favorite subdivision approval they've ever issued, and, took inspiration from some of them. And we have this organized in kind of a chronological order. So history of the site, as we know, the applicant filed a preliminary subdivision plan, and then we went into findings. The findings for this are associated with the special permit section of our bylaws, because that is where, the subdivision or the stormwater and land disturbance permit comes from, the approvals there. The decision, we keep that pretty basic because we get into the nitty gritty and the details. So that was just the motion that you guys made at your last meeting on the approval for the subdivision. and for the waiver that was granted. Then we get into special conditions that are, you know, pretty specifically applicable to this project. A good example is I'll get to number 1 later. A good example is number 2, we're paving School Street in the spring, so the applicant is going to need to get the water and sewer infrastructure at least stubbed out to 181R School Street as soon as possible. So we do have it listed there that, you know, they can get that work done prior to some of the other stuff they need to get done, because there will be a 5-year moratorium on cutting into that road as soon as the state paves it. So again, things that are more specific to this property. Then general conditions, number 9, there's a great example. Utilities are underground. We do that with any and all project we have now, unless, you know, the light department for some reason needs a riser pole or something like that. And then prior to the endorsement of the plans, so I don't believe you guys were here for the Katie Lane approval, is that correct? Okay, so
Correct, I was not.
once this gets issued, the applicant will put the subdivision plans on a Mylar, like the A&Rs, and they'll sign them. So prior to the board doing that, there are a couple things that the applicant's gonna have to do, signing some covenants and things of that nature. Then the next step for the applicant would be starting site work, and, you know, for that, we asked that DEC put together an estimate for a bond, and, you know, have an initial check ready for construction monitoring. I'm still waiting on TEC's estimates. You can see my comment in there on that. And then we get into issuance of a building permit. So, you know, before Sam issues a building permit, we want to make sure that, you know, there's a road that can be traveled upon to get there, and things like that. And then prior to occupancy, you know, making sure that things are stabilized to a certain point. Then prior to the release of all security and escrow funds. So, you know, we want to make sure that things are built to our standards, especially since this is a road we are anticipating that the town will take acceptance of. And then, I guess this isn't totally in chronological order, considering during construction's a little later in here. When you look at a document for so long, sometimes it kind of just all blends together. But, you know, making sure that whoever is doing the construction abides by our general bylaw that states when construction hours are, things like that. A new section, there are 2 new sections that I added. One is deed requirements. We know, you know, on certain, this more comes into play on private roadways where someone puts forward a subdivision application and the intent of the road from the beginning of the process to the end of the process is for it to be a private way, and sometimes folks don't read the references in their deeds, so sometimes having things spelled out specifically is helpful.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then prior to acceptance of the road, again, this road, the intention is for it to be accepted, and while we do have procedures for street acceptance that the town has on our website and things like that, I think having this information up front for the applicant is very helpful for not only the applicant, but for the board and the town as well. And then just referencing the documents that, like the plan up to the most recent revision, the stormwater report to the most recent revision, and the technical report up to the most recent revision as part of the decision. And then I'll just circle back now to special condition number 1. Per Article 10, Section 1 of the Groveland zoning bylaw, because they are creating more than 4 new units, they're going to have to file a special permit with the, for the inclusion of affordable housing. And we can get into that now or later, but the applicant can either have 1 lot or 1 unit, because there is a duplex, or 2 duplexes as part of this. I think it's 1 unit. I have to double check the calculation, be affordable, or we do allow for a payment in lieu of, which would be $80,000, I believe. I would have to double check the calculation, but I believe it's $80,000. So that will also just need to be done by the applicant. But that's pretty straightforward.
Well, I mean, I can say that I've reviewed, you know, these materials, and they're super comprehensive. And so, the first thing is kudos for doing a great job.
Thank you.
That's an outstanding first draft, and I think it addresses. I mean, I can't think of very much that's not like spelled out, and so that's good for developer. It's good for town. It's good for planning board. So we really appreciate that.
course.
Makes our job easier. The only one bugaboo that I have,
Sure.
and it's been the same bugaboo, and it's not going to surprise anybody for me to start talking about parcel A. But, again, like, wherever in this iteration that a resolution happens on that, I want to make sure we're clear about what it is. And there's still, even in this draft, there's some vagueness about, like, how it could go. So I don't know how long it's going to be before this is finalized and things like that, but like whatever we can do to sort of, put a pin in this and get this resolved in a way so we all know this is the plan, this is what we're doing, this is how it's going to be. It would set my mind at ease. I think it's the only thing that I have consternation about in the entire project at this point.
No, I mean, I would tend to agree. I think that's something that, I don't want to be asking Wally to come back in 20 years to explain why,
Right.
so why that parcel is, causing the Hatfields and the McCoys to fight over the corner of the street there.
Right.
Yeah, and I think there's options there, and I agree with you. Parcel A is definitely something that needs to be written, spelled out. If the owner chooses to keep that piece of property, I think they had mentioned in a meeting about putting a sign up there, it's a subdivision, so they want to have a little sign up there. Would be great, but the maintenance of that would definitely go into the HOA deeded rights of
Right.
maintenance, things like that,
Yeah.
or whether it's going to be offered to the abutter to see if they want to purchase it, like those, that just needs to be called
Right.
out, and we
Well,
just
and there
really need to
were
make
also
sure it's a
concerns
con-
about the taxing of it and things
Correct.
like that Rebecca was bringing up in the last meeting, and sort of things that were, again.
Yeah. We don't want it.
I don't know,
Town doesn't want it.
right, I don't know exactly what the ultimate resolution is, but I don't really want to leave it to linger downstream so much. And so, like I said, it would provide me a great deal of comfort once we have, wherever in the timeline of the doing of this stuff happens, that we have something, lockstep about what's going to be.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think leaving the ambiguity out of it would be beneficial to everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
That said, aside from that, I mean, everything looks, very well buttoned up, and, I feel it's a really strong effort, so I don't think there's a lot of rework that needs to be done, short of some of the questions that, Annie and Rebecca were bandying back and forth.
Annie, I did have a question on that condition one. It just refreshed my memory more than anything else. Is it the applicant's decision, choice, whether or not to pay the the fee rather, or to make it affordable?
Yes, it is the applicant's able to choose which way they want to go with it.
And that's what we're working on separately, is the funding to be able to use all that's on this year's bylaw as well, on the,
Correct. Rebecca and I have filed an application with the Community Preservation Committee to create an affordable housing trust or a mechanism for the town to be able to better access these affordable housing funds, because right now, the way the bylaw is written, these funds can only be used by an affordable housing trust or the Groveland Housing Authority. And right now, we do not have an affordable housing trust, and the Groveland Housing Authority is managed by the Haverhill Housing Authority, and they don't have the bandwidth really to invest time into.
But we're working on this problem and
We
trying to
are.
resolve that.
Yes, yeah, with the Community
At this time, yeah.
Preservation
Yep.
Fund money that we're looking to receive to put a framework in place to use this money.
Right.
But that's where this money goes.
yep. Thank you.
I see that the applicant is here. Is it appropriate to ask, without, committing him to
Absolutely.
to one way or the other? Generally speaking, it's my understanding that folks will pay the amount rather than have the affordable housing. Generally, if it's the option, generally there's the payment. Is it okay to ask the applicant where they're leaning?
That's our plan to make the payment in lieu.
It's helpful as far as planning purposes to understand, what kind of where everybody's at. Not to hold you to it, of course, but just to sort of see which way the wind's blowing.
And I was going to say, the other way is, being that you're here. Parcel A, I know that there was going to be more of a discussion, whether it's internal or you want to talk to, have any further discussion with neighbor or what you guys want to do with it yet? No, okay.
Okay.
So we'll just, again, make sure that
Right.
the language is in there, that it has to be accounted, cared for
Yep.
before. One of the other things that I was thinking about with all the residents that were here, maybe prior to the issuance of a building permit, make sure that the applicant has a point of contact for all of the abutters, so that they have, so it's not necessarily someone that they're, okay, who's building here, and if there's a problem, they have one single point of contact to be able to reach out to say, hey, I have an issue or whatever.
We might need to get approval to share personal information.
I would recommend that typically in situations like that, when there are butters who have issues with development, Sam is the enforcement authority. So Sam would be the one who would be contacted, or if it's,
Very true.
if they're seeing erosion coming from the site, it would be me or Sam, and we would reach out to our monitor, and they would go out and look. And we would, during that process, be in touch with the developer to
Okay.
rectify the issue. So, if someone were to call me and say, hi, I'm seeing an issue here, there is erosion coming into my property, I would say, okay, I'll handle it. I would call Sam as the enforcement authority. He would go out there and take a look, and I would call, theoretically, we typically use TEC. I would call TEC, and they would go out and take a look. And when I'm reaching out to Sam and TEC, I would have the developer CC'd on the conversation so they know that something's happening. Or I get a contact list, and I would call them immediately as well. That's typically what happens. Usually the town's always the buffer. Because then if we're not aware of it and it's our permit that we're issuing, and we're
Yeah.
left out of the conversation, it's not great.
Sure.
Agreed.
But I do think something like that, we could add, I think, this is long, so forgive me. I think in here somewhere I know we require a, site visit, but we can also require a, contact list to be provided to the
To the town.
town planner.
And my point to that was that we have a developer who's going to build out the subdivision, but we don't have the actual construction companies that are going to be doing the building. So if there's a single point of contact, is it going to be you guys until once it's sold, now it's kind of on the new owner of the property, and kind of have a single point, so that people know where to reach out to, but knowing that they can reach out to the town at any given time. And Sam, I think that works too. Just want to make sure we call it all out.
Yeah, and I'll say, I've given out my information to a few of the abutters, and I'm happy to be a point of contact, and if somebody else comes in, they should be too. I mean, I think everybody should report to that town, because you guys need to know what's going on.
Right.
But I'll certainly get calls along the way, and when we've done other things, and usually I might be just as quick or quicker than somebody else coming out. And if
Yeah.
I could put my eyes on it, then I can be like, oh, wait, yeah, there's water going off the site, we gotta fix
Sure.
that, so.
Yeah, it could be a quick answer in comparison to
Yeah.
making it
As opposed to going through 10 different channels, if somebody's there and they can just call me directly, then I guess I would call the town on my way down, and
yeah. Things can get exaggerated if it goes through too many mouths.
True.
Maybe I issue what Patrick said earlier, though. I think this is very well done, very comprehensive. Obviously, we're still waiting for a couple more points, and then we need the feedback from the members who are not able to join us today. But I think this is an excellent first draft to work off of. Yeah, thank you, Annie.
And I'd go to the next step would be the HOA would need to be finalized. Now, I know you guys had put forward a draft. Are you working towards finalizing, editing, and submitting? Is that,
yeah, I think we wanted to get at least a draft of this so we can make them come together. But yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal to get a finalized or close to a finalized copy so you can include it.
perfect?
Awesome.
We could add that specifically, because we're going to issue this prior to the endorsement of plans, so we could add the finalization of the HOA prior to the endorsement of plans, if you think that would make sense timeline-wise for you guys and for the board as well, because it would give you a chance to review it prior to signing off on the plans.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And we're going to build in, and want to make sure, cross our Ts, dot our Is, not just the maintenance plan, the stormwater maintenance plan, is that going to be part of the HOA agreement as well, or is it going to be a separate? I know that it's originally separate, but we want to make sure that it's cared for, so I want to make sure that it's handled the right way as well, that general maintenance of the stormwater. I know, that's,
Do you have a thought on that, Annie?
I was gonna, I don't know typically if the operation maintenance plan is made part of the HOA.
I think in the past it's been referenced. It may not be included inside it, but we could
maybe
either
like
attach it
use
to
it.
the end or,
Yeah.
herein reference, or incorporated by reference, because sometimes, I don't know about this one, sometimes they're really long.
Yes.
But it should definitely be part of.
Cross-reference.
Yeah, at least, because you want everybody that's coming in to understand what they have to do.
Right, that's the
that's your
whole
purview.
goal here is notice, and so, if we're worried about people who aren't reading their deeds, like, at a minimum, like, to know that the HOA says, okay, well, you at least, it was a referenced, it's in your deed, it's in the HOA, we can only do so much to put you on notice, and then it's on you.
and it's really not
Yeah,
the new owners, right? It's not the first owners, or maybe even the second owners. It's down the road where you come to the third owner where it just becomes part of the language and you're signing away. And yeah, the house has been there for 25 years, no need to worry, but they hadn't done anything or whatever. You just want to make sure. You
Well,
said the
hope-
language is there and it's supposed to be reviewed.
well, hopefully by that point, the plan is in place and working, and then, the neighbors up the street say, hey, this is just what we do, new owner, your neighbor says, well, hey, by the way, you gotta do this thing.
Right.
So.
But all it takes is
Hopefully-
two abutting units to sell in the close future, and
No,
they
100%.
have that one
Yeah.
No, I agree.
retention.
I mean, again, to Patrick's point, I think what we can do, though, is we can make it abundantly clear what the intent of our decision is.
Right.
And then have the presumption that future purchasers will have real estate attorneys that know what they're doing and will make the appropriate notice of what's been laid out.
Right. I mean, and we're gonna be giving notice like 2 or 3 different ways, so it's,
Right.
you can only hold
So-
people's hands so much.
Right, so any real estate attorney
Accountability.
worth their salt should.
You know, you need to make sure
yeah,
the accountability is there.
Right,
Sure.
exactly.
100%.
Cool.
You have anything else?
I'm good. I mean, I will echo what you had said to Annie and Rebecca. This is fantastic. It's great for us to be able to kind of just read through and appreciate all the work you guys did to put it forward. And now gives you time to read through and we can kind of move forward. So,
Yeah.
we have another meeting next week as well, and hopefully we have a couple more board members. They can
Yeah.
make sure I reach out and make sure that they read through, and we can bring any additional concerns or anything that we need to, if there's things that we have to remove. I know we obviously have to wait until TEC comes back with some numbers there, things like that, and then you can work on the HOA, things like, so I think we're in the right direction. I think we have a great baseline anyway.
100%. Yeah.
I'm good.
Is it appropriate to ask a question about timing on this?
No, just kidding.
I don't know. I made that easy. And I appreciate you writing this too. I know it must have been a pain to pull it all together, so thank you. On the special condition two, getting that's getting the water and sewer stubbed by April, I mean, that's like a month and a half away, and I was thinking, today's the 25th already, February. I was thinking you'd have a meeting in 2 weeks, but say you have a meeting in a week, and then if you then have 30 days to write a decision, and then there's a 20-day appeal period,
Right.
we're out to May.
So, I mean, anyone can, I will have to check, but I don't see why the property owner couldn't stub services to their lot, no matter what, right? I mean, why not?
Yeah, I guess we'd still probably need a road opening permit to open the road and pull it
Yeah.
in and stuff, but we'd have to finalize that. I just don't see it happening that fast, so
I mean, I think that your holdup isn't so much this as it might be other factors. I guess my comment is that while I don't think you need a subdivision approval to open a road and stub necessary utilities to your property. You're not constructing anything, you're not doing anything like that, but this road is getting paved.
Right. I mean, if I might step in here too, it also might sound like there's really no choice on that. It's either make it by that date or accept the 5-year moratorium on construction.
Or I think we might have, like, you can cut in if you repave like a certain amount. Arthur Marcos, our projects.
But again, like creating a situation where, you know, we're gonna create a bunch of expense when we don't need to.
Right.
If there's a workaround, I mean, I think in this situation, it makes sense to figure out, to put our heads together, to see what we can
Yeah.
do to help.
I
With the
Yeah.
timetable being so lean.
It's the state doing this work, not the town.
Right.
We don't have control over it.
Is there some sort of special permit we can issue or something along those lines to
Let's say,
expedite this one thing?
I'm sure the town planner's
Well-
office would help expedite.
Our permit is what I'm saying is not, I don't think, holding them up at all. Because there's no requirement for the water and sewer department or highway department to issue a street opening permit or a sewer connection permit to have our approval at all. It's not like they're gonna start putting the utilities into the property to construct a road. That's when we get involved. But if they're just bringing it from the water main on School Street to their property to just stub out, that's not.
Is
I
there a
don't
way
think
we
we
can maybe
would-
provide the developer with a letter, maybe from our council, that says, hey, listen, it's okay to do this one piece? You know, just so they can so they can confidently be like, okay, we have authority to do this.
Yeah, I mean-
And we can start doing the work, like actually boots
Yeah.
on the ground work, instead of, you know, feeling like they need to make some applications for various things or whatever.
Oh, well, we cannot help, I mean, it's, the Water and Sewer Commission is their own elected board
Right.
with their own rules, so
Right.
we cannot,
We can't super, right.
I
we
would
can't
not
s-
recommend
okay, gotcha.
asking them to do anything, I
Okay,
think.
yeah.
That would, I don't think that
That
would
might
be
backfire in the
appropriate.
sense of, yeah.
I don't think it would be an appropriate thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the highway department, I don't think they would have an issue. They want this to happen as
Right.
quickly as possible, so it doesn't become an issue.
So we're meeting in a week. How can we advance this issue while we're waiting to kind of finalize this?
Sure, so what I can do is reach out. I spoke to Arthur Marcos, our projects and programs manager with the highway department, as well as Colin Stokes actually about this earlier this morning at a meeting that we had. And they're well aware that this is happening and
Right.
it needs to be done quickly. So I can, hold on.
I guess if you can let us know who you think it makes sense to talk to, I think I can come in with Scott Cameron, the engineer that's here. I think he's got everything. So as long as it's not a problem to go out and do it, we can come in tomorrow or the next day, talk to somebody in town. If they give us the go-ahead, we'll get machinery out there. And like you said, just pull it in and then that's it. And then we'll wait until everything works its way through, whether it takes a month or 2 months or whatever.
Yeah, so I can start an email chain with Arthur, Colin, Rebecca, because she can't be here tonight, and then you and Scott about this. But again, if it's just going from the water main to the edge of the property,
Right.
we wouldn't be involved in that typically.
No.
So I
You're just
think,
you're tapping the main and getting it into and putting a gate at the end, and end of what would be the end of the street.
no, the beginning of the street.
Beginning of the street,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. The
So
beginning.
I'll talk to Scott Cameron in the morning and see, if he thinks it's more complicated than I think it is, and
Yeah.
try to come up with,
Yeah.
talk to you guys.
And I'll confirm with Arthur and Colin and Rebecca that I'm thinking about this correctly in the sense
Yeah.
that they don't need this permit to move forward with this work.
It'd be nice if by the next meeting, and I know it's only a week out, you know, we could at least have like consensus on, okay, this is the plan and this is what we're doing, and
Yeah.
and you know, so there's not, again, anytime we can reduce uncertainty is something that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a good
Yeah.
plan for it.
This portion of it is much more dictated by the highway department and water and sewer department's regulations than ours.
Sure.
So I can certainly help facilitate getting this
Right.
done as quickly as possible, of course.
We can't make any guarantees.
The water main, is you're on the short side of the water main or far side?
Far side,
Far
no,
side.
no, no, I'm sorry, I think it's a short.
Short side?
No, I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I know on.
I don't know where the
further
hydrants, I don't know where the
down-
hydrants are, so.
I know further down on Salem Street, it's on the short side for you guys, but I don't know, that's very far away, so I'm not
Yeah, I don't know if
sure.
there's a hydrant right there on that side or if it's on the opposite side. That's usually how the,
But it's a state road, right?
yep.
Yes.
But it's
It's
not,
state numbered, but you guys.
yes,
okay.
thank you.
Maybe that's easier.
Yep.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. And we did talk this morning, Arthur's gonna reach out to the state and ask for a better timeline.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Because
April
we
is,
need to
April
know
is what they
ourselves. We
say,
need
but
to know
it
too.
it could be June or July by the time
Yeah,
they get here.
we-
So,
Yeah, true.
if at all.
We're doing other paving coordinating with this, so I mean, we need to know when
Need to
it's
know, yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
so hopefully we can get some answers by this time
Awesome.
next week.
That
Sounds
sounds
like a
super
plan.
great.
Is that, cool, yeah,
No,
absolutely.
of course.
All right.
It's a very legitimate question.
I'm sorry, I was talking to Sam. Sorry, one thing that I forgot to actually put a comment on, I think it's condition number 46 and 7. Sam made a really good point that, so this is for all slopes must be stabilized with regard to erosion and this is prior to occupancy. All slopes must be stabilized with regard to erosion and safety, and the lots must be raked, loamed, and seeded, sodded, or mulched. Sam made a really good point that if they happen to finish construction on a house in the middle of winter, they're not going to be able to rake, loam, and seed, because everything will just die. So Sam made a good point that it might be worth it to say, like, if completion happens in the winter, like, a temporary occupancy can be issued.
Sure,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, anything else for today on this?
I don't think so. I think it's, like I said, great work.
All right, I'll make,
Did you have any other questions?
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'll make a motion to continue the application for 181 our School Street until Tuesday, March 4th.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome, thank you. Good luck. Hope that goes through quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it done, bang it out. It shouldn't be, no, I don't think.
Oh, right. Couple meetings and all of a sudden we're there.
The state waits for no one.
But that was the plan for
Unless they do.
the plan for the meeting.
Until they decide to.
I mean, our plan for our meetings that we have next week, and then we would meet again on the 18th. We're going back to the first and third, so
Yeah.
Right.
it'd be 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Just a. Welcome, thank you. All right. Good talk. Next up, 150 Center Street Working Group. Appoint a board member to the 150 Center Street Working Group. I had this conversation last night at the Economic Development Committee meeting. There is a working group that has to be put forward. You know a lot more than I do. I don't want to have to give it all. Yeah, go ahead.
We can make this short. I will volunteer for the working group.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
I'd like to hear about
For
what
the
it's all
public, I'll say
about.
what it is, for Patrick.
Oh, my God, you know.
So, the town received a grant through Mass Development. I can't remember the program, but through Mass Development to put together an REI, which is a request for expressions of interest for 150 Center Street. This builds off of work that the town has been doing for a couple of years now, which includes the comprehensive master plan and the 150 Center Street feasibility study. So this is kind of the natural next step. So a request for expression of interest is more, we have a consultant who is helping us put together this request, and essentially what it is a document that the town puts out to potential developers, contractors, to ask them for what their interest is in the site, what they would want to do here. So this working group would work with the consultant to put that document together. This is a request for interest, for expressions of interest is totally a non-binding situation. It's really just trying to gauge interest from contractors to start a conversation.
Sure.
It's a this working group is a super easy lift. There's going to be a quick 30-minute Zoom meeting, probably, just for the consultant to explain more in depth what this request is gonna look like. The venue, for lack of a better word, for this is going to be the Economic Development Committee. So once the REI has been looked at by the working group, she's gonna present it at the Economic Development Committee. It's gonna go out for a month. We're gonna get responses back. The group will review them, and then she will do a presentation on the report that we get back with all the information. It's probably gonna be 3 Zoom meetings for the working group, and then, to actually review the document, it's probably just gonna be like a OneDrive shared Word document. Trying to make this as easy as possible for folks to be able to participate in the working group.
Well, Chris has volunteered. I'll second the request.
Thank you. I thought I was gonna have to do it, but I was at the economic development meeting, last night, and Angus is going to be the representative from the Economic Development Committee. But all of it will be ultimately presented at the EDC meetings, a meeting. But as the planning board, we obviously have a lot of stake in 150
Sure.
Center Street because of, master plan, and that's the future, right? That's what we do.
Sure.
So I was all for it, but if you have the time, and I know you're in more than capable hands, so.
Well, since you've stepped up for the Economic Development Committee, and I stepped back from that one. so-
Okay, all right. So, motion made, I will second, or you've made it, I'll second, how's that?
It sounds good.
To appoint. You want it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. To appoint Chris Goodwin as the planning board member for the 150 Center Street Working Group. All those in favor? Do you accept?
I accept.
Okay. Good. Good, Annie? Good there? All right, good. Comprehensive master plan, discussion, implementation, we don't have a lot of people here
Yeah.
to have that discussion. You guys have any thoughts?
We might have been trumped by the school board meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would think so, yeah. I mean, rightfully so.
Any developments on the things that you raised last time? That's anything new?
Honestly, the biggest one is probably moving forward with this 150 Center Street working group, because this is a big
Yeah.
Huge, yeah.
thing in
Huge,
town.
Sure.
And then I should have refreshed my memory, sorry.
It's okay.
So,
We're gonna continue with the next
There's a
week
large-
anyway,
there's a large draft
so
here that you
don't feel
guys put
stressed
together.
about going
No,
through
it's-
notes.
as
You've been busy putting together a really nice draft. So
Thank you.
It's okay.
As far as the Pines, Patrick will know we are working to get in touch with a lighting company to get like not stadium lighting, field lighting for the
Yeah,
fields down
I
there.
can actually speak to that a little bit. There's a group of folks, Groveland Lighting, Rebecca. I'm, taking part as a member of the Recreation Committee. The idea is to, get comprehensive and, uniform, lighting for the Pines so that, we can handle all these new things that we have there. We can line them up, so we have options to use these things after it gets dark at 4 PM, in the winter and things. So it's, I believe there's a meeting coming up soon by Zoom, and, we're sort of getting everybody's heads together to start saying where these things are gonna go and what's gonna be necessary and where the funds are gonna come from, all that good stuff.
Nice. So more work with digging into the landscape of next door here, the pitch to go down. I saw more digging happened even with the weather.
The slope and the stairs.
Slope,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, ramp,
Ramp,
Ramp.
that's what it is, ramp.
fully ADA accessible.
Yes.
Yep,
Excellent.
very excited for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be all done the next big thing down there is Groveland Day, but very excited. Pumpkin Fest is down there now too, so very excited for that. And then for Valley Screw, we just got back a estimate from a environmental consultant as to what the cost would be from beginning to end of taking down the site. So that is a really valuable number for us because we can now put it into a memo Rebecca's been working on, that she will then use to communicate with state and federal representatives, so Mass DEP and the EPA, about figuring out what to do with the Valley Screw building. And I mean, it just continues to fall apart. I drove by it today and there was a new chunk missing. So we got that number. That was really exciting. So now that we have it, we have a finalized memo, and we'll be reaching out to our state and state and federal representatives to continue that conversation to try to find funding for this project.
Amazing.
We're gonna need help.
Yeah.
It's
It's going to be a big
it's a
number.
terrible situation that we're in right now.
It's a
that-
very big number.
Yeah, it's a big number,
I can imagine,
Not-
as someone who drives by it every day, I can imagine,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it wouldn't be worth it. Town would be losing, we don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big task to try to, it's gonna be a back and forth with you guys and state officials to figure out what can be possibly done.
Yeah, and it's a whole added layer of complicated because it is a Superfund site and we don't actually own the property.
Right.
So it's very complicated. But
is.
Getting that quote was huge because it really puts into perspective what needs to be done.
Sure.
Yeah, because now you can have someone look at it and tell us what options we may have, if any.
Yeah.
It's.
There's
we-
always
we spoke-
options.
We spoke about it last night
sure.
at the EDC meeting, and it wasn't great news, but we now, at least with that consultant, we have a path forward to try to see what we can do to rectify it, so. It's not due to any changes there are not due to the lack of the town trying to do something with it. We're kind of locked up right now to do anything.
Lots of moving
so,
parts.
yeah. What's that?
Lots of moving parts
Yeah.
and lots of, rightfully so, conditions placed upon the property because of the sensitivity of it.
Yep.
Sure.
Wasn't Senator Tarr's office trying to help us with the arrangements as well?
Senator Tarr's office, Senator Moulton, Seth Moulton, we've had conversations with him about it. Secretary Augustus as well. We've tried to talk to everyone we can about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I bet.
And a lot of conversations.
Anyone who will listen. I've talked to folks at the EPA departments that I know can't even help fund us, but I'm like, who do you know?
Right. Sure.
And the Superfund site status makes it even more
Yeah.
difficult. So there's potential options, but we have to see. That's what the consultant will be able to help us walk through.
Right.
So hopefully there's a way out.
If you keep ramming your head at it, something's gonna happen.
What's that?
If you keep ramming your head at it,
Absolutely.
something's gonna happen.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's what Rebecca and I do best, so we'll figure it out.
All right, thank you for that.
Yeah?
Excellent.
Anything else? You good?
Nope, moving our next meeting, we will be talking about our zoning changes. So be prepared for that. On March, I believe, 17th, we anticipate the select board to lay out the way for Billis and Katie Lane for roadway acceptance for this year. So anticipate, hopefully, we'll be able to put on our agenda for the 18th, the planning board's recommendation for that.
Are they going to meet on the 17th, being that it's St.
Select.
Patrick's Day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
They're
sure,
going to put in the time.
yeah.
Nice.
Hopefully, they're wearing green. So that's kind of the only other just zoning, lots of zoning stuff going on
Yeah.
this,
Okay.
this town meeting.
A lot of warrants that have our name on it. We have to review.
I believe there are 10 warrants,
10
10
for-
zoning warrants.
under the zoning, what about what's under planning?
Yeah, well, zoning
Well,
changes, yeah.
Zoning, planning, that,
Okay, zoning change.
Zoning,
Zoning that planning needs to
zoning
endorse.
bylaw changes that
Yeah.
this,
so 10 things you need to get up and
Great.
tell the town
I
our
just get a
decision on.
should get a chair right next to
chair
the
right up, yeah,
microphone.
exactly.
Yeah, hold on, I believe it's 10. It is 10.
Great.
There's There's no one better to voice our,
Stop. Appreciate it, thanks. Any other items not reasonably anticipated at time of posting? No? Up to snuff. Next meeting is March 4th. Do we want to just state now that we're also going to do the 18th as well? You guys good for the 18th? Just take a look.
18, that should be.
I think you're definitely doing the 18th because that's when 441 Main Street got continued to.
Agree. I thought, it wasn't in my calendar, but I thought we had already established that was the date.
I have it in my calendar already.
You do, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't put it in mine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's in there. Excellent. You guys have anything?
Nothing.
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:45?
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn at 7:45. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Groveland. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good night.